In 1994, Lange and Zoellner introduced the Lange 1, and you could describe it as a watch that pushed the boundaries of the watchmaking world at the time. So here, 25 years later, I wanted to draw the threads between these two gentlemen who represent two very different worlds that I think we can find some really interesting connections between. So Tino Bober, you are the director of the Lange and Zoellner Manufactory, and Mike Biercyk, you are a professor of quantum physics, which sounds a terrifying title. And you're not only professor of quantum physics, you're also the CEO of Q Control. So could you explain, just briefly, what does Q Control control?
Our focus is really on taking advantage of the rules of nature at really, really tiny size scales. We're talking single particles of matter, like atoms, single particles of light, called photons, and trying to build new kinds of technology using that physics. Q-Control is focused on putting that to work, making useful things out of quantum physics.
So what would you say, what would the first connection you could draw? Because you two met at a tour of the manufactory.
Yes.
Why was that invitation extended?
So we are often very happy if people have interest and come to us to see what we do, because there are so many interesting things to say and to explain. If you have this small universe, 40 millimeters, but sometimes 700, 800 small components within, so it's better to really see what's happened. How do people do? Because it's very small, it's very, very interesting to see that.
And you wanted to see it for what reason?
I have a personal passion for mechanical watches, but also this professional connection, that there really are these tremendous links between the history of timekeeping and high horology and the most modern research in quantum physics, and Lange is the absolute pinnacle of brands in terms of technical innovation in this space. I got to know the brand a little bit from my own dabbling as a collector, and got to know Wilhelm and other directors in the company, and was kindly invited, and I was very, very excited.
You're excited by it?
I was so excited to get to see the manufacturer.
What's excited your passion?
I think the connection is just what underlies everything. And for me, what's really at the surface is this connection between technology, between building their machines, their computers, that if you have a perpetual calendar, it's a mechanical computer that tells the time and the date, and will be good to 123 years of moon phase, things like that. But that connection to a product that has to be humanized, because those technical things, you can't comprehend them. It's 700 parts or something that are invisible to anybody but the watchmaker who disassembles it and assembles it. But you still have to make that something that anybody can connect to. And it's that combination of product and experience with technology that I really love.
Oh, that's a wonderful introduction to the art of the watchmaker. The components that are only seen by the watchmaker. What does it feel like making something that is made up of a mechanism that is never seen by the owner? It's a strange world, a virtual world?
Maybe a little bit, but it's this world. These watches are not only a precise measurement instrument, it's always a piece of art. And so even the parts are not visible underneath the dial, are really carefully finished by hand on every surface, so it's really a piece of art at the end. And all the people who are working on, they are proud to do this.
So they're mechanics and almost artists as well?
You can say that even a good watchmaker is some kind of artist, to bring all these small parts together and make them working together.
And what makes a good watchmaker? Do they need to be patient, skilled with their hands and the brain? What's the combination?
You need the brain, you need the golden fingers, I would say, and even the passion to do that. But I think everything, if you do something with your passion, only then you can be good, and you can push boundaries, and you can bring things forward and do really a good job.
Do you foresee a future where the technology that you're working on will be helping Mr. Bober in his manufactory?
So we know already that computer technology has transformed the watchmaking industry, right? We use software packages to do design. We use computer-controlled machines to do the manufacturing. That's what I got to see, which was so exciting. And if we're trying to build new kinds of computers, there are potentially new advantages. I would say the biggest comes in making new materials. We don't really understand very well how you make a material that has certain properties. You want it to be flexible. You want it to melt at this temperature. We don't really know how to do that. With quantum computers, this new kind of computer that we're building, we actually think you may be able to solve some of these hard problems, and that can clearly flow into the kinds of materials that are available to watchmakers like Tino and others.
And the end product, you produce the Lange 1. What did you see when you first saw a Lange 1?
Well, I was kind of overwhelmed, honestly. It's such an iconic piece, and I came quite late. I started looking at the Lange 1 as a potential collector and buyer when it had been out for 20 years or so. It's just so distinct. There is nothing like it on the market from a distance, but then when you get close, there is nothing on the market, anything remotely like it, because of this focus on the user experience, on the design and the detail. And personally, that really touches me, right? This idea of taking things that are complicated and technical, and without sacrificing that, making it something that you can connect to as a person. I really love that.
And you've been wearing a Lange 1 for a while now.
It's a Lange 1 Perpetual Tourbillon, yeah.
So you have the option of looking underneath and seeing your own private tourbillon.
Just for me, yeah. That's
just
right.
for you.
So the tourbillon is one of the mechanisms that's in this timepiece, and so it's. I mean, Tino can explain it better than me, but the idea was to try to get rid of the pull of gravity and the way it would distort the spring, the oscillating mechanism in the watch that keeps time, that gives you the tick. Because men used to wear a watch in their pockets and it would always be in the same orientation. So the solution that Breguet came up with in 1801 was you take that spring and you rotate it, and as you rotate it, you average away the effects of gravity. Now this is one of the earliest examples of something called dynamic control engineering. And that idea of instability, that the tick is not regular when you have gravity pulling on the mechanical watch, is actually almost the same as what we face in quantum technology, that the quantum systems, when they interact with the world around them, get randomized. They shake and they lose the properties that we care about, and we use exactly the same kind of dynamic control in order to stabilize the quantum systems and make them useful. That's what my company is based on. That's what my whole research career has been based on. And to have it physically on my wrist is actually quite profound.
So how does that make you feel? You've heard the excitement about wearing an A. Lange & Söhne watch from a quantum physicist. Does that work for you?
It's perfect. Same for me.
Yes.
Same for me. But at the other hand, if I hear that he's preparing something for designing new materials, maybe in the near future, though, I'm really happy because you know that Lange, we did develop a new gold alloy, the honey gold. And so if one day we can come with a list with properties and a wish list and can design maybe another new material for us to use specific in the watches, it would be so fine, and I would be very happy to can use that.
We'll do our best.
A look to the future. Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.